Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. Today's episode is being recorded on 6/5/25. Another Q&A, guys. Just keep these questions coming because this is going to be a bit of a longie based on the amount of questions we've received. We still haven't gotten a chance to go over the old ones, folks, to revet those, but that's soon coming as well. Before I get into anything, I now open this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now to come in with no conflicting agenda, so that we may have great understanding. And we ask for malevolent or mischievous beings now to be swept away so that we may have this conversation in peace. And with that and great blessings that we always send your way, we say, so be it.
So be it. Okay, this affirmation blessing, you'll find this funny. This is the one I just happened to synchronistically bring up to Brian on the previous episode of The Lifting, and that's Isaac saying it's better to be on the long list than be on the short bus. I find that hilarious, and that's a major quotable right there. That's more of mug material right there. Or shirt or whatever. So these are the questions I'm taking from Facebook screenshots, things of this nature. And this particular one, I will have to turn on screen share so you can see this little shot here. I will do this real fast. And there'll be one other thing I'll have to do this with. And you see, all of you see this dog man right there that I'm pointing to? This is what this question is about right there, that mean looking dog man, that creepy looking one. So classic picture has been circulated since I believe the early 2000s, mid 2000s. If anybody knows the real date when that started hitting the internet, please let us know. So I will turn that off and go into this. Let's see. Okay.
Is that related to the dog man?
Yeah, there's two questions here. There's a plant one and then the dog man one, because they get combined into one answer, but at the same time, they're two questions. So
it says for Dugan, if possible, hi, thank you for your answer before. So what types of food do you grow? And what medicinal plants do you guys use when needed?
that was for the forest people, and the answer to that, and this dog man one right here as well. Go ahead and read that.
Starting where I can't see
Right
them.
there.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
Right, is the dog man that we see on that picture real?
Okay. The down here is the start to this very long answer. Hopefully I can see that. Okay. Dugan here, young lady. We grow herbs, fruits, vegetables, and have a limited livestock supply. The medicinal plants are ones more focused on hygiene and for food wellness and preservation. Some spiced, some salted, some chilled. There is a plant here that only grows in the ice and snow, not unlike the Arctic rose. This is a variation of your motherwort, though your version is mainly for menstruation and cramps. Ours stops nerve pains and neuropathy. This would also help diabetically inclined individuals. Also, that dogman is one that can walk on all fours to hunt, as well as walk on two very thin hind legs. You could tell by the photograph that he was not well. They sometimes suffer from an illness known to us and humans as having an infectious brain worm. Also, the behavior is not unlike your mad cow disease and your rabies. Your military also created a zombie virus variant to control them even in death. Also, their DNA, as well as some of ours, has been used in various false flag events on other planets. Okay. Okay, give me 2 seconds. Also, their DNA, as well as some of ours, has been used in various false flag events on other planets, as well as creating werewolf soldiers. I can say no more, for this is all that I know. Peace and Analum to you both. Dugan. He's a forest person from up in Alaska, actually. And here's more of an answer. P.S. It is not what he here knows as density inversion, whereas that is an extreme energetic change followed up by a viral brainworm that is very easily dealt with. By, for now, Dugan. Density inversion is essentially a frequency version of the bend. That's essentially what that is. Sorry, these are slightly harder to read with these screenshots. I probably should have copy and pasted these, but we'll go on to the next one. This is where this question is right there on the left.
It says, oh, I just saw this. I can't wait to watch this. Is it just me or is everyone extra shitty? Seems since the COVID pandemic, lots of people are on edge or something, and there is much more forced, superficial smiles where people lose their cool much faster. Do you think it could be to do with how much are jabbed, or is there newer frequencies and sun activity hitting the earth?
Okay, this was actually quite interesting. Let's read it from this side. Okay. I said to this person, I feel it is because of the jab combined with psionic dampening, or what we call the dumbing. Whereas the binary network switched on by Werner von Braun in the 1964 World's Fair, the Unisphere, to make everyone so stupid they couldn't even conceive of any of the innovations like the ones presented at the fair. That mixed with chemtrails, chemclouds, as well as the poisons in the food, combined with the signals from our TV that is known as the black box effect, along with the more refined version of the tech brought out in 1980, that's V2K. People are not only fatter and sicker, but dumber and more quick to temper. Fatter and dumber, quick to temper. This is actually where the channel begins right here. Fatter and dumber, quick to temper. Watch for these traits. This is also the key to undoing them. Set known labels aside, deny the known, manifest differently. This way you do not co-create the very traits that you wish to abolish. However, noticing them aids in their defeat. This is what I know. Bye for now, Isaac. So we can go, there's a lot of these. We can go on to the next one. Not sure where this one begins. Okay, right here, the word soap.
So I was watching the show Law and Order, Organized Crime, and I noticed something interesting. So in the show, when the show first began, the protagonist, Detective Elliot Stabler, receives a phone call and exits his car. But the moment he leaves his car, it explodes and kills his wife. Now, a few years later, he's about to enter a home to arrest someone when his phone rings and all of a sudden his car explodes. I know it's just TV show, but it seems kind of creepy. Laugh out loud. Is this possibly the media disclosing and describing how some people have some sort of loophole curses?
Okay, yeah, I find this actually quite interesting. Okay, I said, actually, you are correct. The series of unfortunate events combined with loophole curses will cause a repetitious circumstance, as can a ghost imposing empathic transference onto someone as they haunt them. So, also, here is the channel. I believe this was Isaac. Okay. There's also something he here missed. Lineage curses. If, say, an ancestor or set of them made an agreement with a dark entities, this could curse consecutive generations. Past lives can and do this as well. Whereas that expression of the oversoul agrees to say a vow of celibacy or silence, then thusly affecting said expressions in this time. This happens to be everything everywhere happens all at once. Okay, addition added. Bye for now, Isaac. And then there is, I put a little bit going into, okay, never mind. I'm having trouble reading this because it's so small. So we will go on to the next one.
Says, do you guys or anyone else draw power from the portal vortex, either via tech, or for other energetic purposes?
This is based on the Spirit Lake material. This was a question that was asked of the Sasquatch. Well, they touched on a little bit in the Spirit Lake material, but this is Rashum of Spirit Lake, the Sentinel of Spirit Lake, that actually answered this one. No, sir, we do not, in any and all respects. Case closed. Ha, peace out, and an halam always. Rashum. I believe that was a no. So they do not actually draw power at all for any purposes from a sacred site like that. They leave it alone. Other races do this, like in Sedona, you see UFOs going over these different sites drawing power. They even presented this properly in Doctor Who, where you saw the Doctor drawing power from a time fracture that appeared earlier in the Dickens period, in the Christopher Eccleston period versus the David Tennant era. Very interesting. He even said that I can power the TARDIS on this because it is actually safer to do so in the present day, or it would be in our modern day, versus when these interdimensional aliens use it to rip through space-time. That was essentially a poke at the temporal war, and also, as we said about the Bermuda Triangle material, those were fractures from from the Atlantean Lemurian conflict, nuclear-based and ripped across space-time. Vortexes are more ordered versions of these on ley lines, rip and tears and fractures. They can be used as fuel as well, but it's discouraged against, and also sacred sites, it's definitely discouraged against, and that's what Rashum was actually saying. So we will move on. This is actually one that I will read. There, some people wanted some definitions of stuff. I don't necessarily have a question here, other than what's a bracket slash branch treaty, and what's the Angels Unaware rule. So I jotted this down here. Bracket branch treaties, named for a branch and or bracket often already existing galactic treaty. Those ETs under a bracket branch treaty are subject to restrictions that only include that of wider yield usage. Public speaking by way of the Angels Unaware rule, but also not able to engage in social media or said public speaking open and freely. Ronin style networking and public speaking are strictly forbidden, meaning an ET can say they are an ET, but either lie about their origins or about their fullest intentions slash agendas, but can still be considered to be benevolent. And here is the Angels Unaware rule. People have been asking me repeatedly what these things are. So, whereas if an ET is known to be an ET openly, said being good or bad must drop whatever he or she is currently doing and or working on project-wise, and quickly leave the area to start over somewhere new, directly slash indirectly affecting both ICC and GF profits and interests. I've seen this in both good or bad. The story that I've circulated quite a bit that falls exactly into the Angels Unaware rule is the Pleiadian couple that I saw at the mall in Libertyville, Illinois, outside the Barnes and Noble. I was by the journals, looking out the little slit of a window past the decal that was on the window. But before that, I was hearing telepathic chatter in my head. And at that point, I heard the man go, "Oh shit, he can hear us." Then I see this really tall person looking at me in the typical nano-weave jumpsuit you see them in. A lot of them in. So saw him at the window with his eyes bulging like this. He runs off, and two of them run off, a shorter woman, and he goes running off, taller guy. Comes back telepathically to me later on, and then apologizes. I ask if he could sit down and have a Starbucks with it. He goes, "I wish we could, but there's a lot of rules and restrictions against this." That would be the Angels Unaware rule, or what I have nicknamed from the biblical phrase, like Angels Unaware. So I nicknamed that because they thought it was a very apt rule. As long as you don't know they're an ET, they can continue to interact with you. These things are loosening, folks. The branch treaties are actually helping with this. That's why I coupled them together in the same response here. So thank you for asking what those were. Actually, we will now go on to the next one.
What exactly are the Lincolniers? Tall whites or Nellis?
Of Nillis.
Tall whites of Nellis and or former residents of Lanulos?
Actually, this is let's see who said this. Answer that be Isaac. Okay. What if I said both and neither to you, Chris? And I, of course, asked this question. So they are those that were originally from Lanulos, but are now just another offshoot race that went bad. They suck in some cases, literally. Now, in the current case where you guys have encountered them, they were attempting to get you to connect quicker via what we discussed on a previous Q&A. Smart dust in the water supply. Just command him to think his higher self / oversoul is getting him to not only connect to everything he sees and reads, but to feel as though asking questions must be connected to immediately, as well as text, emails, photographs, news stories, etc. Pick your times, Chris, reground often, and save and save topics for your shows. Oh, and stop saying the ats and the hashtags and shit, including the posters' names in posts. This is them trying to OCD the crap out of you from what you look at. That is all. Bye now, Isaac. Now, what he's trying to say is what we were talking about some of the programming and some of the tripwires and some of the mouth trying to do these things like we said in the mouth episode. This is what he was referring to. This was around the time that this question was asked. It was around the time we filmed the episode called The Mouth. That's what he was referring to. If you want to know more into that, go to our episode entitled The Mouth. So I will move on. Okay.
Can you ask Isaac if that was really Epstein that hung himself?
Yes. Yes. So like the famous joke, Epstein didn't kill himself. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let me see here. Wait, where is the channel started? Okay, here we are. Okay. He is actually still alive on Epstein Island. He was elected to be the patsy in the cabal straw drawing as to who became the one to throw under the bus next. This is all for now. Isaac. Now, that's really all he said. Sometimes they will choose a person to throw under the bus. Diddy's a prime example of this as well. Also, to a lesser extent, your Matt Lauers and your Cosbys and people like that. There's a pecking order here where you just get the short straw and like, okay, you're the scapegoat that we're going to distract everybody, throw you under the bus for all the crimes people want to accuse us of and come after us for. We're going to throw you to the wolves. You'll still be alive. We'll fake your death. We move you on. And in some cases, they actually do suicide them. So this does what people are using as the cover story. Actually was was more along the lines of not what happened. The suicide isn't what happened. That was the cover. That's what I'm trying to say.
But the truth is, I think there's another truth here that needs to be told.
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean that the FBI folks are lying that that's what that's what is shown to them when they're looking at the files? You have to understand they can create files to look however they want to create. So you can definitely have someone saying the files say this, right? And they could have it laid out before them and it still not be true. So I just want to put that out there because, it's not always are people actively lying when they're looking at a previous investigation because the investigation is going to say what they want it to say.
Yes. So also there is an answer B here as well, that they know of a certain truth, but they're under a heavy restriction as well. Because you could see by the looks on Dan Bonagino and Kash Patel's faces that there was more information that they just plain were not allowed to talk about. That's what I got from the looks on their faces in that interview. No bashing them, and I said this in a previous video. At first, I thought they were lying by the look on their face, but then I got to thinking, maybe they're under some kind of restriction that they can't talk about it, and or they are looking at a file that they truly believe
Well, that is made to look that way.
Made to look that way.
Right.
Yeah.
You have an investigation. It's made to look how they want.
Yeah. So if you saw the previous episode where I was trying to kind of figure out and intuit what was going on, this, I believe, is the end result right here. And so just for reference, Epstein didn't kill himself. So next one. That's the question right there.
Is Pope Leo the 14th going to make the Vatican great again as an American pope? Meaning, is that what we were being told about Pope Francis being the last pope? Meaning before the changeover.
All right. Apparently, Isaac wants to answer this now. Okay. Oops, read too much. Okay. Yes, he is right. What is happening is that this new pope is part of what you guys already know and have surmised for a few years now. This is part not only of the United Earth effort, but of the Vatican becoming the Earth's first and only, as well as officially registered, Galactic Federation Archive and Earthly and Galactic Library branch. This is why Pope Leo the 14th is an American. Now, this is Isaac, I have an addition to add to this because there is a darker side to this coin that people don't really want to look at. And this is something that you must consider as far as New World Order religions go. When Enlil created world religions, it was for control. When Rome created Christianity, it was for control. Now, this was the first version of a New World Order type religion where it was more of a worldwide under one banner and flag type of situation. Now, you start to look more towards when the New Age movement started. The New Age movement, or that would be the New Age religion or the New World Order's religion. This didn't work, but the New Age movement was a regurgitation of Christianity then. But they just added the New Age flair to it, along with other religious things that got amalgamated into it. Energy work, chakras, things of this nature. When you start to regress that back again, turn back the clock, what part of the clock have they turned it back to? One that worked first, and that's Christianity. I'm not saying all Christians are bad. I'm just saying it is being weaponized into the New World religion. Also, you have Muslims converting to Christianity. First, I thought it was to convert a world over to secularism, just like Dr. Who surmised, where he was hunting a creature that drew off of people's worship energy. And he said those creatures went extinct when planets went secular from religious beliefs. Like one was worse than the other. Star Trek did the same. They went from religious to secular and scientific being more favorable. I at first thought that was going to be the case, the way Roddenberry and the Doctor Who writers and Star Trek writers were doing things. No, this was to aim it more towards a New World religion using old rules. This is why I said going to make the person asked going to make the Vatican great again, meaning people are surmising that the reason everybody's switching conservative Republican Christian is because they're turning back the clock versus the actual progress has been made. This is what the gay community likes to say, and they're not completely wrong, minus all the woke stuff, that is. Now, as Freddie Mercury said in past shows, these two sides have to stop bashing each other before this pendulum swing goes too far in one area. This is essentially what is the branch off of that discussion, is that. So people can think what they want with this. This is why some people, if you talk to some people on the left, they think that's what Trump is a harbinger for. And then some people on the right think the woke is the harbinger for disorder and chaos. And the liberal side is. Both sides are chaos at the moment, even within the guise of order and chaos. Comedy tragedy, like I said, for Trump and Biden, the world theater or the theater of puppets. This is another branch off the whole theater of puppets discussion right here. So there's only so far it goes before the actors and the crew kind of become mingled in like their own theater, but you get what I'm saying. So,
and again, always based off of something that is thought of even in the galactic community is real. that there is something more. Some people, again, will believe that, we believe there's a source of all things.
Yes.
Some people will believe, but I just want you to know that what we're talking about is the control and dogma within the religions, not the thought process that there is something more, and not the thought process of fellowship isn't good.
Yeah.
Those things are good. And so, these good things were taken over, and, ideologies went in there for more of a control mechanism. Not that the basis of some of this is wrong.
Yes, exactly. So the fact that we're putting this out there right now, let this swim around in your head for a little while, process this for a little bit. And if you don't want these things to happen, don't allow it. By the fact that you're even knowing about it, you're beginning to change it. And it falls into that two or more walk in my name. I know that's a Jesus quote, but that's basically synonymous with mass co-creation, like they did on the Washington, D.C. mall that time. And world violence went down at least 10 to 15% worldwide when they did that. So imagine if everybody did that. And you could change that in a jiff. So, okay, next question.
So someone has a picture up there. I don't know if you're going to show that. Is this Jack the Ripper?
Yes, I am going to show this one. And I gotta find the share button here. Okay, this picture here, this picture, some friend of ours shared this with us. They identified him as this Polish barber, Aaron Kosminski, and I've heard of the name Aaron Kosminski before. I actually was always told that Jack the Ripper was H.H. Holmes. So this is where I said, no, I found out Jack the Ripper is H.H. Holmes. Okay. They said that another part of the response here from this person, the text, or this friend of ours' text, they said that DNA was found on scarf connected to one of the victims that was auctioned off. And I responded, this was the response here. Then was it Isaac that said this? Okay, this is merely to throw off the scent from the fact that the one known by H.H. Holmes was and still is Jack the Ripper. Holmes was an experimenter in fear, a vampire. This is all that I know, Isaac. And then
okay. You're screen sharing. I didn't know if you knew you were.
Oh no, I'm not screen sharing. No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not screen sharing.
Okay, you stopped. Okay.
Okay. And let's see. There was even more to this. He came by and added more to this. Okay. I have more to say on this subject. After Jack killed his 10th victim, not quote, he then moved on to the United States, where he continued his very sick experiments in human pain and torment. The Saw movies are loosely based off of him, as well as the movie Heretic in 2024. That's with Hugh Grant. That's essentially along the lines of H.H. Holmes. He even dropped people into trapdoors while they were sleeping into an antechamber to both surprise and torture them further. And he was sad and crying about this. He even had a hotel built to have all of his booby traps and other contraptions in place, just like a larger variation of the board game Mousetrap. This is all that I know, Isaac. And there was an episode of Criminal Minds based on this a little bit where my mother and I actually kind of laughed at this. We thought this was retarded, and we stopped watching the show. It was dark as it got. We stopped watching it when this one guy was torturing people, by turning them into human puppets. We're like, we're done. This is retarded. So, but that's along those lines, and they were doing more of a ha-ha rendition of H.H. Holmes in that. So, I believe that we're good on that one. So, there's the next question right there.
What's a nautilus?
Nautilus. I knew it to be from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but I think it's a code for underwater bases at first. I've heard the underwater base code Nautilus before, but they also use code Nautilus for a type of mermaid. And this friend of ours said, watching a show on mermaids, and they said half angel, half nautilus. I said that's code for a mermaid type. And I will move on to the channel here. Okay. The nautilus are this is, I believe, Isaac again. Okay. The nautilus are a mer type that are more fish-like, those of the trench, like in Aquaman. Some good, some not. And this was from Isaac, I believe. And that's like if you see the movie Aquaman with Jason Momoa and Amber Heard, you see those that are the trench, those decrepified ones that are de-evolved. Those are essentially what the Nautilus types were. He said some good, some not. You also have some variations in Alaska as well that are female mer types that are more cannibalistic that fall into that. You also have these oarfish and tigerfish, excuse me, types that exist up around the Lake Iliandra area of Alaska. Those are and also in parts of Canada, like in Alberta and such, and some of the lakes of Canada and up in the wilderness. These are another mer type that they're bioluminescent. You can see through them. They resemble an oarfish, if people know what this looks like, and a tigerfish. You may have seen those on different fish shows and things of that nature, like River Monsters with Jeremy Wade and such. He caught those quite often. But with this, there's these different variations on a mer theme. That the Nautilus is just one variation on a theme. And if you guys want to see some episodes on the different mirth types, we can definitely do that. So I will move on.
I'm assuming it's Michael Jackson?
Yep.
Okay. It says, think Michael Jackson sent me this photo. Red boots may indicate skinning children to make shoes. Didn't know Frank was into that.
I'll show you the image so there's context here. So this is you see this Frank Sinatra with the red boots. This is something that this is also, I found out this has been a rumor circulated around the internet around these red boots. So some substantiated, some not. So I will go back into and read the response here. Okay. All right, here we are. And this was this Isaac that, oh no, this was Michael Jackson that said this. Rat Pack, as they called themselves, were into some backdoor things, but not that. I will give Frank, Dean, and Sammy that one. Bye for now. Michael Jackson. Okay. He was basically saying they weren't really into that. That was just an unsubstantiated, probably inserted. I'm thinking from the CIA or some other three-letter agency.
Sometimes red shoes are just red shoes.
Yeah. So these things, like some of these things, are just circulated around the internet just to convolute and confuse everybody. So like you have some real emergencies that are out there, and then you have things that are overbloated and convoluted on purpose. So by the three-letter agencies, your New Schwabenlanders, take your pick. And whatever faction happens to be wanting to hide whatever other thing happened. Just like what we said about Roswell. The alien thing was not the real thing. It was Hitler, post-World War II, that was trying to get a ship through the firmament. We've mentioned that before, that shredded across Mac Brazel's property. The alien thing was the cover. The Nazis were the real story. So I just wanted to make that comparison.
But they did use, unfortunately, humans that were, let's just say, created and experimented on. So
Clones,
if
yes.
someone came across them,
They would think they were aliens.
They would think they were aliens, but they absolutely were not.
Yes.
They were humans.
Yeah, and you even heard one truth that Dr. Stephen Greer said. He said, I saw this as a synchronicity, where he did say that Hitler's technology was unstable. That was actually a clue right there. His technology couldn't make it through the firmament without help. The help came a little later. So I mean, aliens are in World War II, but the help to get it stabilized came later with paperclip. So even though we had those contacts and we were in the system longer with alien help through antiquity and ancient times and such, but that's more the story in more modern times. So next one.
Can my oversoul control two avatars at the same time?
All right, this was interesting. Okay. All right, here we are. Yes, even within I said even within the same timeline, one does what the other cannot or won't do. It follows the rules of the multiverse, but within the same timeline cluster. And now this is where Isaac chimed in. Now does this sometimes happen, sometimes not, depending on the oversoul's need as well as the avatar's needs too. Taking a load or a load-bearing pillar, so to speak. And that's basically, essentially, you can have few avatars In the same timeline cluster, what he means by cluster is one timeline with a bunch of hairs sticking off of it, branches that we all jump to within the Yggdrasil tree. That we shift timelines all the time. Sometimes you're running into other avatars of this same oversoul that, meaning like what he said, taking the load or load-bearing pillar, meaning what you cannot accomplish, the oversoul accomplishes somewhere else simultaneously in tandem, everything everywhere all at once. That's essentially how, in a nutshell. Want to know more about those types of things, go to gic.show. We do a lot of stuff on the multiverse on there. So, okay, and there is another answer here with, let's see, okay, oh, I guess that isn't another answer. That is the same answer. I just copied 2 times. Never mind. I will go on to the next one. Next.
No one is allowed to touch the Pope. Why do you think he pressed against his forehead?
Yeah, this is interesting. Right here, I'll show you guys right here. This shot of Biden pressing against Pope Francis's forehead like this. Some people would mistake this for an act of kindness if you were seeing it from your own biased viewpoint. Of if you liked these 2 individuals or not, or did not know about any other crap that went on in the background. So I will go on to the answer here. All right. Let's see here. All right, here we are. This is also Isaac. Okay. I basically said to our friend, all I hear in this, he is marked for death from one who is already dead. That's what I heard in my head. This means Biden died in Vegas, like we said before, and his double marked the Pope for death, just like a mob death mark. Also, it is just like Jabba's death mark to Han Solo in Star Wars. So like a mob death mark. So I'm going to let's see, where did Isaac's response begin? I believe that was, oh yeah, here we are. Okay. Just like the mob. Death mark, also it is just like Jabba's death mark on Han Solo in Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back. This is all I know. Isaac, he basically said I was correct in that. So I found that interesting. They basically marked by one that's already dead, meaning Biden, like what we said about him dying in Vegas beforehand. And the whole cancer thing was not only that wasn't the cover up from the White House. The cover up was the cancer covering for the fact that the man died, like I said in the previous Q&A. So we'll move on to okay. The question. Oh, that's right. The question wasn't listed on here. This was essentially I was being asked by the same friend about the secret room that Michael Jackson had in some famous photos. I can't find them now. I went to the link and it just goes to a bunch of pictures of Michael Jackson. I can't find the room now. It's basically like a trapdoor torture dungeon. It kind of was reminiscent of H.H. Holmes, actually. I saw the picture. I probably should have saved it, but it's gone. I can't locate it even on DuckDuckGo. So this is the answer, though. This was by Michael Jackson. The secret room in the photos is indeed what I spoke about. Creepy, yes. Rigged with alarms, yes. Trapdoors to tunnels, unfortunately. A target to show the world, definitely yes. Bye for now. Michael Jackson, like what he was saying, that he was trying to put a target over the tunnels underneath. And this is what he had been referring to in past Q&As. This was literally the main thing he was referring to. And the fact that I could not find this again, if anybody finds this, let me know. But I was using both Google and DuckDuckGo. I found it originally, and then I went to go take a screenshot of the cluster of photos for this episode. The images of the tunnel or the hatch and the underground place weren't there anymore. There's images of his house and Neverland Ranch, but that specific thing, it just goes to just a bunch of shots of his face, and that's it. So essentially, he was trying to put a bullseye on there, and even now he's trying to put a bullseye on there. They were taking that bullseye away even now. They still don't want you to look at it, so look for it. Do the opposite of what they want. Okay, next one.
How does one purge the Nazi ideology?
Okay, Isaac here to say, learn to laugh and make fun of them. This is true of any powerfully military or governmental force. Ridicule them like they ridicule so many for being of an inferior race or races. This is all for now by Isaac. Now, that's why I called a couple of them Hans and Franz in my SSP. Well, I was saying SSP book, but it's actually more of a journal at this point. I basically one called a Nazi commandant and his lieutenant Hans and Franz just to fuck with them pretty much. That's how you get them. Is Isaac is saying based on his namesake or his name etymology is he who laughs is what that means. So that's essentially laugh at them, make fun of them is essentially what he's trying to say, and it diffuses the ideology. So here's another one that didn't have. This was more of a mass set of questions focusing on the same thought. So on the same concept or idea. So I just amalgamated it into basically what are recursive thoughts. There isn't a written question here or she'd be reading it. So recursive thoughts are those thoughts and or memories of a person, place, or thing that we just can't let go of. A pin of emotion still exists there. An open circle the enemy can exploit to infiltrate. The way that you close this circle is through the written word, story, poetry, revocation, ward, and or audit, worded to be tailor-made to the memories, thoughts, and then move on for good. That way, the past never haunts you. This also falls under another concept that's further down the list, which is trauma bond. I will get to that in a little bit. All right. Another one that
Ghost warping.
Ghost warping. So these are some of my definitions, folks, but these are answering like an amalgamated group of questions here. So ghost warping, verb, the act and or effect of a ghost and or paranormal activity on an electronic device, usually resulting in a drained battery. See also drained person, by which the same effects can also affect a human being. The one of the more famous things, paranormal investigators know this across the board. They are constantly having to replace devices, batteries, anything electronic. Ghosts have this electromagnetic signature that they just pull off of constantly. They will drain you and electronics because they're pulling off of your natural magnetism, and also empathic transference, or transferring, unbeknownst to them sometimes, what they died from. That's what the empathic transference is. I had an incident when we were still in Prescott Valley in the neighborhood known as Granville, where I was looking at, this is the very computer right here, and I have it plugged in, and I see the battery drain completely, and the fans start blowing. The battery drains, it doesn't actually shut off, because it was still plugged into the wall, and a ghost was actually drawing from the wall socket too. The cord was hot, wall was hot, computer was hot. I'm surprised it survived it. I went into the garage and found a ghost of a homeless person that had been out there that was really pissed at me that I discovered them. It was by proximity that they affected the electronics, not necessarily by choice. And they were pulling off of the electrical grid of the house, but they pulled off this. And they did not want to get my attention at all. It was an accident. Spirit inspired, yes, so that I would move them on. But by them, it was not. It was an accident. They were pulling off of the power box that normally was in the garage, or outside the garage on the outside wall. There. I point in that direction, but it was that direction from my office in the other house. On the outside wall. And that was a major target for ghosts while we were in Arizona. Big target. Smart meters are big targets for ghosts too. They can really dick with them. So paranormal investigators know exactly what I'm talking about. Batteries croak, equipment croaks, phone croak, everything croaks except for the people. They just get drained. And the same as when, ironically, with the people, the same as when you go into a hospital, you feel drained. The sick and dying people are all pulling off of you. We should do another Q&A at some point on wards, revocations, and audits, maybe at some point, and brush up on some of these things. If you guys want to see that, let me know. There's a ward and or audit and or revocation for that.
And just in case you haven't heard this before from us, but we've said it a lot, Ghosts should always be moved on.
Always, whether they're kind or not. And I have heard this across the board from people going, but they're so nice. I'm like, it doesn't matter. They are harming you physically because of the empathic transference and the ghost warping for devices and people. This goes without saying. You have to move them on. Without saying, they will thank you for it. You will thank yourself for it at the very end of this. So now. All right. This one was centered on Kurt Cobain, actor and musician. This is who this came in. I was mentioning this to the other day about Kurt Cobain's death, and I wonder why. Sometimes you wonder why you're mentioning something. It usually means the person's around. And Michael Jackson, we can thank him for bringing Kurt Cobain through on this. So you can
kind of simply to Kurt Cobain, did you kill yourself, or did Courtney Love murder you, or have you murdered?
And this was a very interesting. This shows that how some people will throw some things out of perspective, but this what he said made absolute sense here. No, Chris. She though she called her the she it. No, Chris. Though she it he contributed greatly to my passing. I ultimately did not did not do it myself. Is what he said. Okay, I did not off myself, I believe he was going to say. My own demons mixed with actual ones did me in the end. It is evil. Never forget this above all else. Thank you for this, Christopher. I shall not forget it. Be seeing you again very soon. Channeling of singer, songwriter, and actor Kurt Cobain of Nirvana. So this is what he was trying to say, that she was more abusive to him. And he felt there was really no way out of this. And he was prone to depression. And he believed there were other demons around her that affected him.
So it says, I ultimately did off myself.
I did off myself. It's just that for some reason, for whatever reason, when I'm typing this, I don't see it the greatest when I'm typing this. So, all right. Here goes to some current news stuff. Next one.
Okay. Why is Elon Musk so pissed at President Donald Trump? Was an unknown wink and a nod deal not honored? Or was it over the big, beautiful bill? Or was it over President Trump withdrawing Jared Isaacman's nomination for the head of NASA on May 31st, 2025?
Yeah, this is an interesting answer. I liked this one. Isaac here. Yes to all of these, narrative or not, show for the press or not. It was all of these combined. A wink and a nod. Dishonored. Elon's friend and close colleague dishonored. And the fact that the federal government never, and I mean never, keeps its word. Just ask the Native Americans how that went. Wink and a nod. And he just did that. This is all for now, Isaac. And then he says all for now, and he goes into a PS. Notice how he waits until I've closed the circle for that question. Then he says the PS in here. He's known for this. PS. The wink and a nod, in case you hadn't not guessed it, was an understanding between technocrat and cabal family ascendancy. A technocrat helped all of the families with their technological needs, known or unknown to them at the time of any agreements, and usually helps the family that is currently in ascendancy. In this case, the Rothschilds. Rant done for now, Isaac. So I find that very interesting that he brought that up. And we've talked about the ascendancy of the cabal families before, like being the Dune great houses is essentially when is a gift, not a gift kind of thing. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. Whoever's in ascendance, they all have to kind of bow to this, kind of almost in an Antichrist fashion, but the Antichrist myth is not true. I'm just saying, seat at every table. That's why some people label Trump with that label. It's completely unfounded and untrue because it's not a true mythology because of the whole Christ falseness as well. But the whole point is they are utilizing this narrative. Some people are self-farming this narrative, but the whole ascendancy of the families is true. Look. So there's the misnomers from religious mythology to the actual thing. So I'm not dumping on any of the figures involved from Trump to Musk or any of them. I'm just saying these are the way these families operate. So, and if one is taking up more of a role to bring order to chaos, and actually the narratives help people out, so be it. All right, this was a continuation again, is this disagreement between the two oversouls. And he said, no, everything is going as planned. Done, Isaac. That's all he had to say. Meaning spirit as planned. People like to say in divine timing, but it was really the oversouls came up with this long before they ever encountered each other, is what he was trying to say. Next one.
Okay, does finding out and or telling yourself that you have a disease solidify its existence within your body? Or by finding out what it is, can a more efficient manifestation take hold, or a little of both?
Okay, let's see here. And this was from my grandfather, Bob Sainovich. He came through. So both are true, Chris, but in the case of finding out, this can solidify its manifestation within one's brain for sure. But in other cases, finding out can also lead to one to solidifying a disease's cure. It solely depends upon why a soul is here and how a soul's plan and or mission is to be carried out. Remember, Chris, about Kilmer? His oversoul knew that he would get throat cancer, but the avatar did not. Granted, one could convince oneself that they will get cancer if they try hard enough. Even though you can change your stars, shifting yourself to a different timeline, sometimes the soul must walk through the fire in order to be cooled by soothing waters. Yes, soul paths can and do get derailed. And yes, can other avatars pick up the slack? Yes, they can. But there is far more to it than you currently comprehend. So in short, one must use discernment as to whether or not finding out will manifest a disease, creating more shit for oneself, or not helping to fix an issue. Sometimes knowing most solutions negate any possibility. Sometimes knowing most solutions negate any possibilities of proper course correction. Does this make sense to anyone? Bob Sainovich. The most famous of this type of references all time is none other than from Star Trek. I believe it was the episode where they were challenging the Borg, the best of both worlds, I believe, and Captain Picard knew that he had to go after the Borg head on, but he believed that it was more of a death march. And Guinan tried to convince him, saying, if a man is convinced that he was going to die, he will find a way to make it happen. It's more of a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. So that's the best answer I can give you there. Basically, in a nutshell, was saying, do finding out about a disease or a condition, would the brain solidify it as fact? Like what I've said, if it's something's written down, the brain is told as fact, and therefore maybe co-creating more of that possibility. Yes, that can happen. Absolutely. This is why you don't see me doing anything medical. But at the same time, what he's trying to say, there's a flip side to the coin, as by finding out, you can then find out possible solutions. Therefore, the proper manifestation takes hold in that area versus the self flagellation the mind likes to impose on itself by seeing a disease and thinking, oh crap, I've got this kind of thing.
Well, you don't own it.
Yeah, you don't own it. You don't own it.
You know, you can be told something and then again choose
not to own it.
means, choose alternative lifestyles, choose things to say, I don't own this, and it's and I'm
you
going to
don't
do what I
own-
can to not manifest.
Yes,
it
and not
anymore.
manifest the disease anymore, of course. But he's saying sometimes, I was basically stating, and that was my question, because he was actually manifesting the question, and the answer is essentially what it was. Basically, me saying, well, wouldn't going to a doctor on any respect, then if somebody said something, wouldn't my brain manifest this? No, you don't have to own it, but at the same time, you may be finding out something that might be factual, could then lead to solutions in that same manifestation. So there's both answers here. This is what he was trying to say.
And if an oversoul expects you to go through something, you're going to go through it.
Yes, and that walking through the fire, essentially. Yeah, exactly. Okay, we can move on to the next one here.
It says, have you ever contacted the moon-eyed people?
Yes, this is interesting. Isaac touched on this briefly in GIC at one point. And we came to find out, and I put this as the answer. Yes, I have come to find out that they are from a form of Fae and or fairy elf type, just like the story of the green children of Wootlet. That's the green children that came across in England, the town of Wootlet. And eventually, there were two of them, a boy and a girl. They were green skinned, and the boy dies. And they tried to basically say that it was a nutritional deficiency instead of fairy. But at the same time, they basically showed where they came from, and they said they came from where this happened to be this cave opening, and they described it almost like as a fairyland. But within that cave they came from was actually a portal to the elements of the introverse, I came to find out. So both stories are true. Yes, did they have a nutrient deficiency that kept them in that green skin, or what they ate there turned them green? Yes, like if you ate too many carrots, you'd turn orange, that kind of thing. But there they also have green skinned children. When they came through and started eating our food more, one died, one became Caucasian. And eventually became there was also a Scottish variant of the story as well, where that created basically some of the Scottish royalty. And in England, it basically started the daughter started her own house, depending on which side you speak to, Scottish or English. I came to find out. So we can go more if you want to see more about the Green Children of Wootlet. That's more of a conspiracy sector area. Let us know. Let's see, and this is also Isaac's response. Hey, these guys are dimensional inner earthers that could only come out at night due to the fact that their eyes could not process your sunlight and UV rays properly. Are they of Lonulus? Yes and no. Dimensional and also hold their origins from Lonulus, but have diverged into their very own race that occupies the dimensional spaces between Midgard and Lonulus. He even, meaning me, even saw a vision sequence that he tried to reach Lonulus to me, Elena and Vesa, where Elena and Vesa are, but jumped to the Moonite people's realm instead. Enough said. He's right. I actually started to try to, I was in my imagination walking to the portal in Valley of Fire to Lonulus, and all of a sudden I'm just in this cave system with all these little cutout like niches, and you see this almost like a moonlight coming through like some crystals in the ceiling, like how the forest people have it in some cases. And I'm seeing these paler white people with these larger eyes. Those are the Moonite people. And I kept saying, well, how do I get to Lonulus? Like, no, you're in an in-between space. Be patient. We'll get you there. I feel it was more of a memory of having been around these people, and I was transposing it to modern day. It was more of a past life type of deal, or a connection to there, and another set of memories from there, even modern day or not. But those are what the Moonite people look like. Us, slightly paler, and the eyes are about, I would say, maybe another third larger than ours. So, and their pupils are larger, like how you would be in the dark. And it was more like moonlit inside of that chamber. But I believe that's who that I was looking at, as he said. Now, this is a question about, this is a video, and I believe I'm going to have to play the small video here. I will screen share. All right. Now, this is the video.
That Freddie Mercury was almost on Michael Jackson's Thriller album if it wasn't for a llama. See, in the 80s, Michael and Freddie became good friends. This led to the duo collaborating in the studio, but the experience did not work out. Michael did not like Freddie's drug use while recording. Meanwhile, Michael insisted on having his pet llama there. Freddie could not do this, and he called his manager. "You got to get me out of here. I'm recording with a llama. I've had enough, and I want to get out." He left the studio shortly after, leaving 3 songs unfinished. Freddie later regretted this decision.
I think one of the tracks would have been on the Thriller album if I finished it. But I missed out.
However, decades later in 2012, one song between the two legends did come to light. But still, who knows what could have been if it wasn't for Michael's llama. Did you?
Okay. I found that interesting. That same friend of ours sent us that. And that was a short little Facebook one. I could get away with posting like this. YouTube, they tend to be a little finickier if you do that. But this one, I thought this was hilarious. This was Freddie Mercury joking around here. I hated the fucking llama, but loved the man himself. Peace, darling. What would have been some kind of magic. But and Queen, some kind of magic album. That's what he was trying to joke about. That was the joke right there. And by Freddie Mercury. I thought that was actually pretty funny, but that's what all he had to say. And of course, they clashed over like his drug use and also the fact that Michael Jackson would have things like the llama. It was just a big powder keg, but they were actually very good friends in the end, and they still are. And I just heard Freddie Mercury saying, "If you have to explain a joke, you did not deliver the line well." So okay, yes, I get it. Thank you. Okay. 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 This is the same friend of ours. I won't say where she lives, but this is the question right here at the
It
top.
says, almost a straight line from where I was born to Gary, where Michael was born.
Okay, let's see. Michael Jackson here. This is no accident since we are soul family after all. Proximity, energy, frequency, time, space. It is all relative. Hee hee. You see, Freddie is not the only person to be able to make bad puns. Ha, hee hee, ow, Michael Jackson. So basically, the two of them were making bad puns back and forth, and they were together when I did the channel for these. So now here's another one here. Okay, about right here.
It says Michael, Illuminati colors, gold, black, red, white left hand, devil sign right hand, 5-digit. You gotta scroll up.
No, don't read that part.
Okay.
Okay, okay, and I got a screen share again because this is a photograph of an album cover. And it's this one. You see Michael with his hand up with the Illuminati hand signs, with the devil sign there. This is what our friend was saying here. So I'll stop share here. And okay. And if any of you guys want to include pictures in your future questions like this, definitely. I'm just going to have to go back and forth between screen share like that. Okay. This is another one by Michael Jackson. This is another fine example on how I was trying to let everyone know what exactly was going on, and by and or for whom. That's all I got, Michael Jackson. So that's essentially, that was his way of pointing their direction, is what he was trying to say. So you don't. Sometimes it's people pointing the Illuminati / Cabal / Satanic garbage's direction. It doesn't mean that they've been completely embroiled in it, touched by it, perhaps. Marked by it, but not evil. Even though Michael said he had gotten really controlled, this is beside the point. He was pointing at them. So, okay, this I believe is the last one. Okay.
What are trauma bonds?
Okay, this goes back to the other one I said before. These are entanglements with a person, persons, places, things that created a strong bond entanglement that causes one set of timelines. You notice I said set of them to become temporarily entangled to an emotion, usually pain and or trauma. These can hit at any time and must be dealt with immediately upon receiving it, them, or it, they. Will cause severe problems with your future positive timeline bondings. These are usually curses brought on by seemingly unrelated and or seemingly irreverent and or irrelevant events. Timings, people, places, things. Take care of it, them by disavowing it, them. Simple intent. No, Isaac. What he said before also, revocations and words are necessary for like the recursive thoughts. And pins, emotional pins. The Witcher showed this, where there were emotional pins created by traumatic events, where someone was murdered and they by their husband. This woman created this pin, lived inside of a whole painting, created her whole world based on a pin or trauma. And that was also recursive thoughts, and trauma bonds fall under emotional pins like this. So that's where this is at. And we are now at the galactic portion, or I should say, thanks to Warhagen, we are now at the galactic / elemental contribution. So he wanted to make sure they were shown there and represented. We're all about representing, he says. Okay, yeah, thank you. All right. Thank you. Come again. Yes. All right. And they all said that joke doesn't even fit in this. Okay. Elementals are retarded, they said, about making jokes. Okay, all right, enough of that. All right, let's see who's going to actually speak on this one tonight. And make it short, guys. So, is it Isaac, or is it Freddie, or is it Michael Jackson? Who is it? Isaac. Yeah, of course it is. All right. All right. Yes, I will make it short. What was said further up the list, just a hair, was the thing about the whole medical stuff, about how people, especially and I will not dump on a group of people, but if this sounds like I'm dumping, so be it. Those that think they should not get into looking into medical things just because they're the crimes and atrocities created by not only your insurance companies but your medical industry, your financial holdings behind such things, and your pharmaceutical industries and other companies and profits and capitalism they're in, because that's what they focus on, is making profits. Okay, there are crimes there. Absolutely 110%, and there are atrocities and crimes against humanity in there. Now, or you wouldn't have had a one of your Luigi Mangione incidences in there. Granted, that incident was more of a not necessarily a false flag, but that's more of an energetic cycle completing. Even though a horrible crime happened to someone, another crime happened to other people as well, and it was an energetic cycle completing itself. Not that that kind of crime or crap is condoned. It's just that it's energetics. Like he says, if somebody does something enough, stupid enough, the energy comes back around. Some people call this karma. It's more of an energy cycle from cause to effect. That's really all this is. Basically, source cleaning itself up, pretty much in this instance, or auditing. But aside from all of that noise, if there's something wrong, yes, the New Age and metaphysical communities are shown to correct things energetically themselves. Absolutely 110%, frequency-wise. But what did Tesla say long ago? And this has to do perfectly with it. If we would combine essentially the sciences and engineering with frequency and energy, we would learn more in 1 year than we've learned in 10. So, what does this say about combining these two things now? Regardless of how people in that community feel, you must combine them now, because some are in their lane and they have found real innovations regardless of whom they serve or whom they have served or unknowingly have served. There are real things there, or as Bob said, sometimes by the looking and finding, you're not necessarily co-creating the thing, unless you're into that type of self-flagellating, just like when you're saying the name of a being and say his name and he shall appear kind of crap. It's the intention that is behind this. Now, are some names powerful enough to do it if said? Yes, but it was more based on fear that this person would appear, like hush hush, this person will appear and a bunch of people believe that therefore two or more walk in my name. You understand what I'm saying? It got a co-creation nightmare, got out of control. Now you have it messed up, just like with skull edifices. There's so much focus on them being unstable, they have become unstable. Do you get my point? Because there's so much hoodoo, voodoo, and misappropriated thought forms aimed at them. Now, and also humans tend to go both ways as far as instability, stability. Human analogs are not necessarily good edifices in that way. But what I'm trying to say is that, say if you feel something's wrong, but you don't trust the medical industry, and I can understand why. Especially because of COVID. This is perfectly understandable. But real things are going unchecked because of the fact that there's so much mistrust. But a bridge has to be built somewhere. Rome was not built in a day. So in this, and all roads lead to Rome, frequency and intuition and the magical arts and the sciences and logic must work together ultimately. in order to bring about, the more critical thinking and bring about more of that change in frequency. Stay in your lane, yes, but there are times where those two sides must work together. If they did not, then we would be in a very bad way right now. Like what Bob was saying, yes, don't own, like we were saying, don't own a disease or a virus or anything of this nature. Absolutely fight it with your frequency, do what the healing techniques and the toning and chanting and whatever you need to do, the wards, revocations, audits, all of this. In the end, spirit and your oversoul essentially are having you walk through something to get to the other side of something. Not unlike the whole chicken cross the road. Why the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side? This is more of a chicken and egg conundrum because you're jumping timelines. Which came first? The viral contaminant, disease contaminant, and or the solution by which this is then cured. See, which came first? And I say it's the chicken and egg because it's both. Which one came first? Space or nature? Depends on who you talk to. So, with this said, in this type of situation, he is just saying sometimes the finding out is not the co-creation thereof. And also, therefore, also, like what you said, don't own it, heal it. But sometimes the not owning it means you're finding other solutions mixed with the frequency. The soul is basically telling you where to find these solutions within already existing platforms and creations. Don't reinvent the wheel if it's already been created, you see. Why would you reinvent fire with a flint when you have a lighter? This is there's been progress made in this area, folks. But just because evil sits there or evil sleeps there doesn't mean evil sleeps everywhere. This is another bit of co-creation that has gone awry. So I will go into questions.
Really, just to continue this conversation, like I say, you may have a moment of something. You could have a moment of blood sugar issues or whatever. But does that mean that you now own the illness necessarily, especially when we talk about the type 2 type of diabetes? Is this really going to plague you the rest of your life? Not necessarily if you understand, again, what you need to do to potentially be away from those things that are causing it. And causing, I mean, many people, they lose weight, the problem goes away. Look at their diet. We all know there are problems with that. So again, you can look at something as you're having a moment of it and not a chronic lifestyle of it.
Yes.
And that's really more of what we're talking
People
about.
co-create the chronic lifestyle, but sometimes there's actual real suffering there on top of it. It depends on which way you're taking, whether you own it or not.
Right. And so I wanted to kind of say it in a slightly different way. You know, do what you can. Now, sometimes walking that path to healthiness really is some changes that will happen within your life, within the food you eat, within things like that. So obviously we say, do the best that you can. But I do want to ask, and I'm not sure if I should or not, I'm just going to go ahead and ask it.
Well, I will say also, don't live the pain lifestyle, as he calls it. It's just like the trapped mentality where people are constantly, like, say, trapped in a job or in employment. This goes along the same lines, where it's essentially the same thing. Trapped lifestyle, pain lifestyle essentially are the same. I just wanted to get that out. Yes.
Right. And so, as we say, just look for alternatives, look for other things that can contribute to health. Look at everything that you're doing, the stress, the eating, the other things. Now, I have to address the elephant in the room. And literally, while I mean elephant, I do mean, again, the obesity that's going on. It's now seen greatly in children, with adults. That is leading to the chronic illnesses, okay? And it's starting earlier and earlier that's going on. The reason I bring that up is because, again, the illnesses have been created, and here then there's the GLP-1s as the cure to some of this. What I find difficult about this conversation, that's why I want some perspective from you guys, is that, it sometimes, it be it the poisons, be it the foods not being at their betterment yet, we're kind of in this weird space because it is very difficult, more difficult than it has ever been to lose weight. And so I believe that's
It's a virus.
Right. So I believe that's a part of it. So the question becomes, of course, people look at the GLP-1s It's not that some of these people are not trying, they really are trying.
And then they're guilted into, oh, you just didn't work hard enough or do this. And it's a virus.
It's a virus. So again, when you look at things like that, you know, and people are trying these things, because if they are able to shed weight, are able to keep it off, it does help against the chronic illnesses. So you're in this really kind of loop. And again, I'm not into shame, blame, or guilt. So I understand this being brought into people's medical attention to keep them from, you know, potentially getting, or again, not allowing something to really take a chronic hold by some of these things. I know some are better than others, but I really want your perspective, because, you know, what are people to do at this current present moment, since the obesity will lead you into some of these chronic issues, and some are right there at that point or just stepping into it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, never own a chronic condition, even though medically someone may say, and this goes into what he was talking about before. So what someone may say, or a doctor may say, oh, you have this chronic condition. They're known for doom and gloom. I get it. My brother, on the other hand, he's not into the doom and gloom. He tends to give these other perspectives as well. I am switching over to Thorsten now. Give me a moment. Yes, my brother tends to not go into medical jargon and terminology. In this, you have these chronic conditions by which then have been imposed on people, like the fat virus, things of this nature, and the chemtrails and the chem clouds, and your cyanic dampening making the dumbing. We all know about this part, and make you fat and slow, all of this. But amidst all of these trials and tribulations, amidst all of the opposition, one fact still remains. You hold the majority torsion field. If you own a chronic condition, therefore you become the chronic condition. So therefore, even if you have the thing, you can dispel the thing by not owning the thing. This is what he believes he is doing by not going to a doctor to look into other things. But as Isaac was saying, and as what Bob was saying, sometimes the finding of the thing is not necessarily the manifestation of the thing you don't want. It's sometimes a continuation of the manifestation you do in some cases. It's the way the soul is aiming, you see, manifesting. So with the people that have these chronic conditions, there will be times you're in point A category where not owning it will fix the thing, and you just do the thing no matter what, and you endure, you bugger on or trudge on, and you just do the thing no matter what, and that's the path he's going. But then you have option and group B that yes has done this, but then there's this limbo period where you're in a holding pattern, or let's say basically a wait and see pattern, or to be determined pattern. You see, he's found himself in this to be determined holding pattern. It is because option A was not the only thing. Option B is both this and plus this, you see. So therefore, a right fit over there has to occur. This is what we've tried to tell him. We've told other people the same way. We've told friends of yours, his, and other people that have actually spoken to us. Granted, we've not shown ourselves the same way as before, but we've helped other beings translate things as well. And also the one that you spoke of to, Stephen, he's a medical physician. They talk to people this way as well, in channel like he did. But take more like our form, like a Nordic-esque form, so people don't get spooked by their gelatinous, like Slimer looking form. But I say that kiddingly, but he's pretty cool. But in this, yes, I know you're pretty cool. Are you stalking? Thank you. But they're all listening, by the way. But what I'm trying to get at is sometimes, of course, your New Age and metaphysical community have been shown to change it through frequency. Great, but this was also a three-letter agency ploy to separate you from other resources that these guys enjoy. This works, yes, but it is only half the equation. In some cases, it's 100% the equation. In some cases, it's 50%. In some cases, like he talked of a person that blamed themselves for not saving someone who had been having a heart attack, and that person basically said, "No, wait, they'll just jab you. You'll end up getting killed by this." And this person ended up being in the B category. You see, so sometimes the merging both of these actually helps, regardless of the attitude of the other. Co-create the right person coming to you. Also, the more you connect with spirit, and the more you don't co-create, that you're going to run across some nasty. Of course, you won't. And spirit will lead you to the person that you were meant to find. If you are locked into, oh, this is garbage, you're going to find nothing but garbage. It goes back to the old, they say it's law of attraction, but it is really thought form co-creation. It's not, there's really no such thing as law of attraction per se, because it's basically damned if you do, that damned secret is damned if you do, damned if you don't. Oh, you're love and light, you attract shit. Sometimes you attract the good. Oh, if you're angry, you attract more angry and shit. It's damned if you do it, damned if you don't. It's more or less you co-creating the thing is really what it is. That's the true magic right there.
Right. And so again, it's like we were saying before, the merging of both worlds. And I guess for me, I know people that go into and they're like, I don't want to end up with chronic illnesses at all. I know I've gotten a bit overweight. I know these things are happening. I can't seem to lose it, but I know damn straight that if I take this for a while, I will not get them. And that kind of mindset is important.
Using the system against itself, you would say.
Right. And so again, I guess what I'm saying is that, you guys aren't just carte blanchely damning the medical systems, nor are you damning, some of the drugs within the medical system. I think that's important to say, because right now there seems to be this mythos going around that you guys are damning the whole thing. And I'm like, that's not really what's being said at all.
Evil may live there. Evil may even hold residence in places and hold residency or even sleep there. Evil does not own the totality of the industry.
Right. And it really is.
And you don't want to co-create that either. You or empower them. Right.
Exactly. So again, I'm all for people that are actively searching and exploring supplements, different thought process on how to purge the body of different things. Again, they're not, trial and error kind of, looking at supplements, taking supplements. Again, you got to realize that some people are going to have reactions. They're not going to work for everybody.
Not every supplement works for everybody. He found this out recently, that some people's brain chemistry are compatible with something, some are not.
Right. So I guess, what I caution people is to say that, again, I wouldn't spend too much time on the shame, blame, or guilt here. And I wouldn't be, judging people that are trying to do something to undo the potential of a chronic illness, or, or do everything they can. But really the one area that's really not been discussed that really is getting the virus, getting the fat virus, and how that really plays a role in people's life and leads them towards chronic illness.
Yes, and also the fact that it was implanted in people and then the binary network empowered it, very much like your COVID and the vaccines and everything were then really empowered by your 5G network. It's the same cycle.
Right. Now, you can starve it to death. You
Yes.
can certainly do that if you put a mindset on alkalining the body and eating better, avoiding the sugars and different things. It's kind of, you guys have to think of it, it's kind of the virus that is giving you the cravings to eat certain things when you know you shouldn't be doing it.
Yes.
And so you have to understand these concepts so that you can think, do I really want to do this? Or is, again, like I always say, is that thought really yours? This is an instance where, is that thought really yours? Anyway, so understanding all of these concepts, I think, help you empower yourself better on what you need to do. But the fact is, this is something that isn't spoken about, but there is, the virus concept. There are doctors out there actually speaking about it, that they believe that obesity is a virus. I will say that.
That's why they've been poo-pooed over it too.
Exactly.
And also your holistic doctors like your Tutera and several others Batar, all of them. This is why they were killed ultimately, because they figured other things out that had to do with the connection between technology and the connection between viral and bodily health, you see.
Right. So again, my point is do the best you can. Don't own your chronic illness, but don't be judge and jury over other people either. It's a complex situation. No one has all the right answer. No one has all the right answer, no matter how much you think you do. And you just need to let people figure it out. And not everything works for every person. Not every supplement works for every person. There's a lot more involved in this body. And we're not all, cookie cutters of one another in our genome and neurotransmitters and all of that stuff going on. So be a little bit kinder to one another, but support each other as we all try to grapple this issue and things and the poisons and everything that are happening that are driving us to certain chronic conditions.
Also, he was under the impression of that all types of antidepressants and the things, certain antipsychotics and stuff, that he thought they all were mind-bending, mind-shredding drugs. And yes, there are a lot of them out there that deplete your neurotransmitters and psionic abilities, and that's what some of them were designed to do. They essentially a ripper shredder type of thing. A friend of his took one that I will only nickname S at this point in time, because there are several like it. I do not want to give a false illusion that it will work for everybody. But for that particular individual, it worked because it was what was needed to stabilize his neocortex after repeated attacking. Things like that are needed to repair a neurotransmitter instability, or it will result in a bipolar emotional outbursts, breaks, and also any undealt with anything would come to the surface way too fast, especially with SSP people. And therefore, you've said that some SSP people had come in with their bolts not quite tightened enough. This would loosen the bolt. Let's just put it this way. And that's the object of the exercise. They want to take something stable and loosen the bolts. Just a little bit over a period of time. Just what happens to lug nuts on a car if you just gently. Well, I know, Isaac, you have to use a torque wrench. It's metaphorical, you retard. But anyway, gently do it. The tires fall off. They have to be tight, but they can't be wrapped. You can't be wrapped too tight either, or else you suffer. You get my meaning?
Yes, I do. So I just wanted to kind of, since we brought this conversation up, I just desperately want people to know that there isn't just one way. There really isn't just one way. And we're in a time frame where, people have to try and do, again, what's best for them, explore different areas. But in the end, some may choose to do things that really help them in a certain way, although you may not choose to do it that way. And so just, again, be kinder to people about this. And
they are not sheep for looking in alternate directions from that of New Age and metaphysical. Just remember this.
Yes, thank you. So any last comments for this show?
People were trained that one way was awake, one way was asleep. I want to tell you there's really no such thing except for the fact that you may be aware of ETs and aware of information around you. It doesn't mean that it's the know-all, end-all, be-all of the information just because you're huddled in this crowd. Essentially, like what Q says to Picard in the end of Next Generation, where he goes, when Picard realizes a paradox anomaly, when he realizes, Q says, oh, you had options you'd never considered before when you came to this realization. That's what these awakenings are. You're bringing about these new levels of perspective and perception. It doesn't mean everyone is accessing those same levels, because they have other levels they're accessing. Yes, they've been dumbed. Yes, they're a pain in the ass because of the Mr. Smith and Agent Smith program. Yes, the binary network is making them do stupid shit. Yes, entities are making them do stupid shit to aim at you. It is your responsibility not to aim back with a flamethrower or a tactical nuclear warhead. in this particular instance. Some are trained to even use those abilities against others that are in that stage. There's a psionic spiritual war going on right now to use other individuals that then were then declared by another mass of people to be unawakened. By doing that, you are co-creating your own doom. Just remember this. Yes, some people are a pain in the ass. Fully understand. Some people are not. And some people in the other community are a pain in the ass and not wrapped too tightly and have their bolts loosened to be a pain in the ass from the other end. Basically, you're getting it up the butt and you're getting it in the face over here. Again, how do you handle these situations? Are you wrapped too tightly? Are your bolts too loosened? Are your lug nuts falling off and your tires falling off? Depends on the situation and depends how you react to these. As the forest people would say, analum, always, in this respect. So, any further questions for myself or Isaac?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Yes, this is that was Thor's, and that's Isaac's brother. Isaac looks like me, taller, red hair, red beard. Well, he doesn't have the red beard anymore. And Thorzen looks like me pretty closely. He's just a slight bit taller than me. He's like 6'4". He's about the size of my father. So he looks essentially that way. So they're obviously soul family and genetic family somewhere. I don't think we have anything else to add to this. Do you have anything? Okay, this is where I will end this. I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. Thank you for the questions, folks. Please send more in. We'll get to them when we can. So, bye-bye, everybody.